put your hands together for the one and only Naomi Garrick. Thank you so much.
I know I'm blessed, and I close my eyes and smile. Sometimes I feel like the richest man in Babylon, and I've done my best, so everything's alright inside.
Back. Thank you, everyone. So, we said we're really going to be speaking about the power of the personal brand. So, I'm here with my workbook because we're actually going to be going through the workbook. Anything on the screens? Do I press something? M style team? That's okay. I can wing it. There's a quote that I wanted to start with when the screens come back up. But in the meantime, I'll start with what's in the book. Okay, great. So let me try this. Okay, yes, hello, much better. Okay, great. All right, so you are walking and talking billboard for your personal brand. So what does your billboard say about you? And that's really just thinking through, what do people say about me? How am I showing up? How do I see myself? Because sometimes we may see ourselves in a certain light or a certain way, but that's not necessarily what we are projecting in the way we show up, what we share on social media, how we dress, how we interact and engage with other people. So it all starts with knowing who you are. It starts with the things like, what am I passionate about? What are some of my core values? What are the things that are important to me? What is my driving force? And so the first thing I want you to do is to write down, who am I? And you can use words, you can use a sentence, you can use illustrations. But we have to start thinking about who we are in this moment, because that's where everything starts. If we're not able to communicate clearly who we are as an individual, then we are really allowing other people to define who we are based on what they see, based on what they read, based on what they hear. So we have to be able to think through who we are. So just take a minute to think about that and write it down. Write what comes to mind. And then I want you to start thinking about, what is your driving force? So the decisions that I made, where I went, who I engaged with, how I interacted, the jobs that I took, the things I said yes to, how I spent my time. It all went back to a journey. Is this right for him? Is this getting me closer to a dream to have a better life for both of us or whoever else is in our lives? And so everything started with that question. How will this affect a journey? And that was my driving force for many years. That's one of the reasons why I went into entrepreneurship. I grew up in a home where both of my parents were there, and my mother was an entrepreneur. Her business was based at her house. So she was always there, and she had the flexibility to attend school events, pick us up from school. She was always literally a couple steps away. And I really wanted my son and my future children to have that kind of experience where I am available if they need me. Over the years, my driving force has changed. So he is still a major part of my driving force. But now, I have this burning passion and desire to inspire other people through my journey, because that's the only journey that I know. And so everything I do now, it must inspire in some way, shape, or form. Even if only one person leaves the room today feeling inspired, my job would have been done. And so that determines, what do I post on social media? If something I post is not going to inspire somebody, I probably will not post it. It determines the type of events that I attend, the things that I say yes to. And so that is my driving force. So I ask myself before I do something or engage in something, is this going to inspire anyone? And if the answer is no, I probably will not do it. So everybody's driving force will be unique to you. But you have to think about that. Why are you getting up in the mornings? Why are you going to work? Why you chose this particular job? What is the end goal? What is the reason? What is the impact that you want to have in somebody else's life? So we have to think about these things. And I know that even when I do my workshops, this is always the hardest part, because we don't stop to think about ourselves. So usually when someone asks you the question, maybe who you are, you start talking about your job. You talk about the role that you have at work. but that's not all of who you are. So that's why it goes down to those other questions and asks about, what are you passionate about? What are the things that get you excited? What are your core values? What's most important to you? Is it your family? Is it relationships? Is it communication? Is it your faith? You have to start thinking through those things because that will help to determine what you do in your life, even for your professional life. Because then you'll know the direction you need to take when you're taking a job or you're doing an interview. Is this something that is tied back into your core being, who you are, and the things that you value and the things that are important? So I really want you to take a moment to complete this page. And it starts with, as I said, who you are, what is your driving force, what are your core values, and what are you passionate about? Because that sets the tone for everything that you do in your life, for your personal life and your professional life. You know, I spoke about that quote, spending the 50 weeks doing something that you hate just to get 2 weeks doing to do something that you love. So you think that through. Are you in a job or a situation right now that you don't even like, but you're just doing it for a paycheck? And I can understand that. I understand when you have to work because you have bills to pay. But you can find ways to work and you're still actually doing something that you like with people that you love. So it's time to just take a minute to think about yourself. You know, Rochelle said maybe you're actually in this room with your boss. And that's okay because your boss is probably thinking the same thing too. If this is a session where you think about you, it's about where you want to go and where you are right now. And what I like to also encourage you to do, it's not in the workbook, but the journey is very important. My favorite quote says that the journey is the reward because you learn all the lessons along the way. And the person you are today, right now, in this moment, is because of your entire journey. The good things, the bad things, a lot of the not so great things that have happened to me in my life have helped me to get to where I am right now. Because I try to learn from the mistakes, as hard as they may be. And I may not get it right away. I can look back now and say, wow, if this didn't happen, I would not be doing this. So you have to appreciate your own journey and see what are the things that happened along your journey that can help you for your future life. And when you've done that journey, look back, then you start thinking about, where do I want to be? So what would my best life look like in the next 15 years if I had all the resources, if I had everything that I wanted, if I was doing what I loved? Because you have to think forward, and then you work out the plan to get there. You look back at the journey and you say, okay, because of these experiences, I am now at this point in my life, and this is what I have left to do to get to this other level, because this is where I need to be. You know, I like that quote that says, a goal without a plan is just a wish. And we may have these big wish lists of things that we want to do, or we have this list of goals that we want to accomplish, but we're not thinking about that first next step to actually get to that goal. So when you're thinking that through, you have to think about, okay, if this is what I want my life to look like, what's the first thing that I need to do? Okay, I've done this. What's the second thing that I need to do? And when you accomplish a goal, you don't just say, okay, great, I'm awesome, I've finished this goal and I'm winning. No, add something else. What's the other goal that you need to accomplish to get even closer? Because what we're all trying to do here in this life is to be our best selves, whatever that means to you. But you have to know what that is first. What does your best life look like, and how are you going to get there? Everybody completed that first page? Yes? Okay. So then, what I would ask you to do, when you have some clarity, because clarity is what's important here. When you have clarity on understanding who you are, then you need to think about how you're going to share that with others. So I always recommend that you create your own personal brand mission statement. So in the same way that a company will have a mission statement, and you go in their office, you see the mission statement and the vision and the core values, you should have one for your life. What is your personal brand mission statement? What is your personal brand mission statement? And that really speaks to who you are. What are those core values and those passions? It's really taking the information on the previous page and crafting together maybe 2 to 3 sentences that pulls that all together. And that's your personal brand mission statement. And I'll take it a step further. It's not in this, but it's in my workbook. Actually, it's not even in the workbook. But what I recommend as well is to think about your personal brand advisory board. So just like a company, you have a board of directors. They don't work at your company. They're from all different industries with their expertise that they're bringing to help guide the CEO or managing director. This whole thing is about becoming the CEO of your life. So who are those people that need to be on your board that are going to help to guide you? And it's not just about for your professional life. Who do you need to speak to about your love and relationships? About your family? Who do you need to speak to in a time of crisis? Who do you need to speak to about wealth? Naja is on my personal brand advisory board, and we're trying to grow whatever I have into something great. But I'm not the expert in that area, so I need to speak to the expert to do that for me, to help me on my journey. What about your fitness and your health? Who is somebody in your life, or maybe not even in your life right now, that you need to reach out to be on that board for you? Because that will also help to ensure that you're being held accountable for this personal brand mission statement that you have created for your life. And then we get into what I think is the exciting part. And it's another area that we tend to not really think about. It's, what am I the expert in? We all have many talents, many skills that we may not be utilizing in our day-to-day jobs. So for example, I could be a banker, but I'm also the most amazing baker. How many people know that? What are those other skills that you can bring to the table that other people don't know about, that only you can do? And maybe I'm not just the baker, and I'll go into the differentiation in a minute. Maybe I'm the only baker that can make a 7-layer cake. So it's finding out what are you the expert in and how can you be better at it? How can you be even more unique and different with your offering so that you bring in value to anybody that you encounter? So when you're thinking about the expert, because as I said before, you may have an idea of who you are and what do you do. But what do other people think and say about you? You know, when we talk about personal branding, it's not just about who we are or how we see ourselves. The most important thing is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And so, you know, people think personal branding is this new thing. It's not a new thing. It's reputation. It's just a cool way of saying your reputation. It's always been there. We all have a personal brand, you know. I would say that we are all walking, talking billboards, as I said, for the most important brand, and that's your own brand. And you're the only person that can control that by what you put out in this space. So think about, how do people see me right now? What are the words that they would use to describe me? Does anybody see me as an expert in anything other than what my business card says? Because I'm sure that you are all so much more. But you have to think it through. How am I lending my expertise? Or to what question am I the answer? What do people come to me for the most? Because maybe that's a skill that I am not even realizing and trying to share with others. So it's thinking through all of those different areas in your life that you are the expert, and then communicating it with your audience. And if you're not sure about what you are the expert in right now, what would you like to be the expert in? You can be anything and do anything you want in this world. And we all have the resources. The internet has opened up the world to us. We can learn from anybody at any time. My car actually becomes a university for me when I'm driving to the country. So I listen to a lot of podcasts. I download lots of books on Audibles. I love to listen to music, but I will choose to learn something instead when I have a long drive. So I'm always learning. I really believe in that continuous learning and development, and I've done that in my career. Many of you may know or may not know, but I actually do not have a degree in any subject. Went to university, did 4 years, I'm still, I think, 2 or 3 courses shy of graduating. My program does not even exist anymore, so that's not even an option for me. And I was in hotel and tourism management, not PR or communications. Everything I've done in public relations has been learned. It has been through experience. I started 10 years ago. My company will be 10 in October. Danielle Terlong is my PR bestie. She started a year before me. People ask, how do we work in this space together? Because we're not competitors, we're collaborators, right? We all bring something different to the table. So we all have our own differentiators in what we do, but you have to find yours and you try to be better at what you are best at. So I'm always trying to learn and to add more value to not just my agencies, but myself. So what I did was I actually, and this was fairly recently, so as I said, everything has been a learning experience. When someone first approached me about being a publicist, I knew nothing about that, and I had to go to Sangster's bookstore and buy whatever books I could find about being a publicist and PR to start learning, because Google was not a thing then. So I had to read, and then it was through experiences and relationships with the media, and I realized, oh, but I know I can do this. And when I saw the results, I kept on learning and trying to be better, learning from people like Novia McDonald-White, who has really taken me under her wing as a mentor as well, and just trying to be better at your craft. So about 2 years ago, I made a decision to invest in myself, even when I didn't have the money to do it. And how that happened was I actually had a car accident. I wanted to apply for this program that the Public Relations Society of America was doing in reputation management. I did not have the money for the course at the time. It was, I think, 8 weeks. And the day before you had to pay the money, because you have to pay everything one time, I got a check to fix the back of my car. Guess what I did with the check? I used it to pay for the program. So the dent is still in the back of my car, by the way, right now. 2 years later, but you can't see it. So if I didn't tell you, you wouldn't notice it. It's like a little thing. So it's like, okay, fix the dent in the back of the car or get a certification in reputation management, which nobody was really doing here in Jamaica. So now, because of that, I'm the only certified reputation champion by the Public Relations Society of America. And so I'm saying all of this not to show off about what I do, but I am always trying to be better or to offer something different. Doing that course or that program in reputation management is what kind of opened my eyes to personal branding. It's the same thing. So you learn about managing the reputation of a CEO, how to manage crisis before it happens. So it's for individuals and it's for brands and it's for companies. And that has really taken me on this journey of personal branding and writing this book. And what I've found is, I wrote the book, it's great. I've heard a lot of comments from different people who have done the workbook and their experiences. And for me, that is the greatest joy, the impact, the positive impact that it's having on other people by just these basic 8 steps that we don't really think through. But I'm always trying to find ways to add value to my brand and to add value to other people. So you have to look in your area of expertise and see what are the ways that you can add value. So now I can say on my bio, I'm not just a public relations consultant, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a CEO, I'm now a 3 times author, I'm now a public speaker, I'm now an international speaker thanks to Women Winning Now and getting to speak on their platform in London. So you have to look for the opportunities that you get to keep adding and adding and adding and building so that you are no longer competing with others, you're really competing with yourself. And when you get to that level, you get to be paid to be the expert. It doesn't matter, the price doesn't become an issue anymore because you're the only one doing it. So it's for you to really think about what are those areas in your life that you are already the expert and you can add to it so that you end up being in a league of your own, pretty much. And you have to continue growing and learning because trust me, there are others behind you that are just waiting to take your place. So you have to just keep on learning, growing, and developing yourself. But you have to find out first, what is it, that thing that you want to be the expert in? What do you want to be known for? And then, as I had mentioned, what can you do to differentiate? What is your differentiator? We spoke about the cake. So don't just be a baker. You're a baker, okay, but I bake wedding cakes, okay, but I'm the only person that makes a 7-layer wedding cake that also has flowers hanging from it, and it's on a chandelier, and it's whatever, whatever, whatever. It's what are those things that you're going to keep adding on your value chain or your value ladder that will allow people to want more of your product, and you're the only person that offers it. Okay, so think. I don't know if I can say all of that, but I'm pretty much saying that you have to keep adding to your value ladder so that you are always seen as the expert. There's no one else in your space. Or if there are people in your space, you are still the expert in that area because of what you do and how you're sharing that message. So I'm going to speak a little bit about just the platforms. Like, you have to amplify your personal brand, and I'll get into that in a minute. And I had spoken about, what is the problem to which you are the answer. So you have to think that through. What are you solving? What is the value that you're bringing to the table? And something that's very important too is, who is your ideal client? Who is your tribe? Who are you serving? Because you don't want to pick an area and then you're just out there trying to sell whatever you're doing to everybody. You have to know your target audience. So you have to think that through, and then you'll know how to approach them. Where do you find your tribe? Where do you find your ideal client? Where are they? And what do they need from me? And that's something that we tend not to do. We don't ask a lot of questions. So even with my PR chicks, when we go to a meeting, the first thing we have to find out is we have to get clarity. So we have to say, what is the intention of this meeting here today? What is it that you want? How can I help you? You tell me what you want, and then I will now tell you as the expert what we can do to help to fix your problem. So you have to ask a lot of questions and find out what is it that your audience or your ideal client needs from you in this moment, and then you provide the answers to that problem all the time. So on page 11, you'll see, let's create our personal brand pitch. So that's a little bit different from the mission statement. So I'm sure most of you have heard about an elevator pitch. Yes? Great. So elevator pitch, for those who don't know, is so you are a startup business and you're trying to seek capital or investment to make your business bigger, to scale up. So what would you say if you had 5 minutes in a room with that person that had that money to make your dreams come true? That's the elevator pitch. And what it is you're really doing your quick sell. What is the value that you're going to bring? How are you going to bring the return on their investment? What am I going to say that's going to keep you interested in hearing me talk and then ask to speak to me again later, or take my business card, or go on my website? But it's the same with your personal brand. I'm sure everyone in this room goes to events where you have to network, right? This whole room is a great networking opportunity. You're all professionals. You don't know who is sitting beside you. You don't know where they'll be in 5 years. You don't know where you'll be in 5 years. How are they going to know about you and what you do? So you have to think about your own personal brand pitch. If you had 5 minutes to tell somebody, if you had the opportunity, suppose your dream boss walked through this door, what you going to say to them? I joke with my girls all the time. They love Beyonce. I said, okay, if Beyonce walked through the door, you're going to take a selfie with her, you're going to ask her some questions. You have to know what you're going to say. So with your personal brand pitch, you need to think through, who am I and what is the value that I'm going to bring to you? In such a compelling way that that person is going to say, wait, we need to extend this 5 minutes. Come and meet with me tomorrow for coffee. Or let me take your business card. So you have to think that conversation through. And it starts with the first thing we spoke about is knowing who you are, but then now knowing what you are the expert in and the value that you bring to the table. That is going to be the personal brand pitch. And that personal brand pitch is something you can even take to your profile pages on social media. You can use it for your LinkedIn profile, because what I try to explain is on LinkedIn, it's a very underutilized platform here in Jamaica. And a lot of the bigger companies, that's where they go to find people before they even put an ad in the papers. So if you're not on LinkedIn, you're not even being considered for opportunities that are out there. So I encourage you, you just got your awesome headshots done by Adrian of Studio Craft, right? Helping professionals to look remarkable. Please change out your profiles with whatever picture you took today, because that's the first thing we see. We see the image, right? And we're all visual people, so we like to see something we like, and then we'll continue to scroll. So a lot of people, when they go on LinkedIn, it's more like a resume holder, and they put in all these great accomplishments. But the accomplishments are not the first thing that you see. There's this opening profile paragraph, which really needs to be a nice, short blurb about the things I just said. Who you are, what are you the expert in, and what is the value that you're going to bring to any organization. So when you work on your personal brand pitch and you can say that and you can communicate it at an event, you can now use this on all of the different platforms that you use to communicate. Because you can't just use, and I'm going to go into the digital media, but you can't just use social media to look cute and to post pictures, with your friends or at a party. What are you bringing to the table? It's an opportunity for us to connect with the rest of the world. How are you using that opportunity to connect, or for people to see you and know what you are bringing to the table? So I really want you to think through, and I mean, the personal brand pitch is not something I expect you to do right now in this session. It's something you have to really think about. Really think about, and same with the mission statement, maybe you can start working on it, but it's something that you continue to tweak over time, and as you add value to yourself as an expert, you continue to tweak it and make it better, and you practice it. Practice it with your friends, practice it in the mirror, so that when you have the opportunity, you're able to communicate in a compelling way that people want to know more about you. So, page 11, it speaks about amplifying your personal brand. And that's really about using your platforms to communicate who you are. So you have your online platforms and you have your offline platforms. I'll talk about offline first, because online, there's just a lot more to say about that space right now. So offline is, as I said, we're in this room. It's a great networking opportunity. How are you showing up? How you show up in different spaces or events that you're attending? How are you showing up at work? Because I'm not sure if you've had this experience before, maybe in an organization where either it's yourself or you've seen two people apply for the same job. One person has all the qualifications on paper, and the other one does not. And sometimes the other person gets the job, not because of skill, but because of how they show up. And it could be because of how they look. It could be because of their personality. It could be because of their work ethic. And at the end of the day, we like to work with people that we like, right? We say in Jamaica, when your spirit don't text somebody, it's a real thing. So people look at that as well. So as you may be great. Rochelle likes to say that nobody likes to hire smart people. That's not really true, but we want smart and more, right? And so for me, even personally, I get resumes all the time, and I'm not really interested in the resume. I want to have a face-to-face meeting with you because I want to know who you are as an individual. I want to get to understand what's important to you. What are those other soft skills that you're going to bring to the table that are important to me in my organization? It's not necessarily about a degree, or not saying don't get a degree, but it's the value. What are you bringing to the table, right? And so you have to think about how as I said, how are you showing up, how are you communicating when you are out and about, representing yourself and also representing the companies that you work for. I've been getting pulled into this conversation a lot over the last 2 weeks about separating your personal from your professional brand. And I really honestly don't think there's a separation, right? Unless you are officially diagnosed with multiple personality, we have one person here, right? One personality. And you may not show all of yourself at work because maybe that's just not your space, but you have to be authentic with who you are wherever you are. Authenticity is really at the core of your personal brand. And you really just cannot separate the two. So not because I'm not at work, it allows me to act in a certain way that doesn't fit the profile of the business that I work for. Because Naomi, as a customer, when I see you as my banker, at work, you're my banker, and I trust you with my money, and all these things. And then when I go to an event and I see you as this totally other person, I start to build a perception about you, which may not be true, but that's what you're allowing me to see. I can't separate you and say, oh, you're in your private time now, so that's okay. No. In the back of my head, I'm like, why is she acting like this? Or why is he acting like this? Maybe I'm not so comfortable anymore. And that's what we do. We're humans and we judge based on what we see. We work on feelings and emotions. And so you just have to remember that when you work for someone, first of all, you should always want to be showing your best self no matter what you do and where you are. Just because. Why would you want to show anything else? But you're also, when you're representing someone else's brand, that's another responsibility that you own until you're no longer a part of that organization. So no matter where you work, it's worse if you wear a logo shirt. Not because it's Friday and it's happy hour. You're in my company's brand, right? So you're actually still representing me right now, especially because you're in my shirt. And so, for example, Carnival is coming up. Yay for Carnival. Woo! Nobody? Nobody going to Carnival this year? Okay. So the girls in my office are all very young, all millennials, all under 25. Is anybody in here? Janelle, Catherine, Alicia? Yes? Okay, Janelle. So they jump in Carnival. I have no problem with that. I used to jump in Carnival for about 7 years. I stopped because that's just not where I'm at in my life. And we have this talk because they know that when Road March Sunday comes, they're going to be on the road with media. They're going to be on the road with our clients that we serve. And even though today I am Janelle Smith on my own time, I'm also Janelle Smith, a PR chick at Garrick Communications, right? People aren't going to separate that because it's Carnival Sunday, because we have a meeting with them on Monday. So you have to just think about that. And it's really just about not saying don't have fun, but you have to be mindful of yourself. You have to protect your brand and your reputation. There are 100 Carnival photographers on the road. You don't know who is taking pictures of what and where it's going to end up. And when it ends up on the social media space and it's something you're not okay with, it's already too late. Because you don't know who has already taken a screenshot of that, who has shared it in their WhatsApp groups or all over. And you know we like to spread bad news real fast. So why not try and prevent that and protect yourself? So as I said, go and have fun. It's Carnival, it's Sunday, it's great. But just be mindful that you have work on Monday. You're going to be seeing these same people that you just saw on the road on Sunday. Were you comfortable with how you displayed yourself? And that's really it. It's really about you. It's not about anybody else. It's about ensuring that whatever your personal brand is that you have on display for the rest of the world, you are okay with it. Has anybody ever done a Google search of themselves? Okay. For those who have not, it's important. You need to know what Google says about you because that's what the world sees about you first. Because not everybody's going to get a chance to meet you and see how awesome you are. So they're going to be guided by their first impression, and that's what they see online. That's what they see on Google. And most of you, if you're not on LinkedIn or you don't have your own website, what Google is going to pull first is what? Facebook and Instagram. And are you okay with the rest of the world seeing that? Some may say, well, my Instagram page is private, right? Who has a private page in here? Awesome. But guess what? Once it's on the internet, it's not really private. So for example, let's say I wanted to learn more about Danielle. Danielle's not my friend, but she really is. And Sarah's my friend. What am I going to do? I'm going to go on Sarah's page, or I'm going to say, Sarah, can I see this for a minute? And I can go in Danielle's profile because Danielle and Sarah are friends. It's as easy as that. And bigger companies that have their HR departments and IT departments and those things, they have even better ways of getting your information and seeing what's on your profile because, believe it or not, companies are absolutely going to check your social media before you come in for an interview. They need to know who they're working with because they have to ensure that you are a good representation for their brand, right? I've had a situation before where I've interviewed, person was great on paper, person was great in person. Of course, I'm going to do my background checks because I represent brands. And I have a brand myself for my company. My company is called Garrick Communications. And when I went on her profile, I could not believe it was the same person that I just interviewed. Because she did not, what I saw online, and maybe that's not her, but that's what she put out there for me to see and everyone else. So it can influence in a negative way how people see you. So the question is, why put that out there in the first place? Why does your page need to be private? Not saying don't unprivate your page, but you should be comfortable with whatever is out there because you put it there. And it's not just about what you post. It's the things that you like. It's the things that you comment on. It's the things that you share. Because now you are allowing a digital signature for what you have approved in that space. So you may not have been the originator of the message or the post. But because you have liked it and that little heart is beside your name, I can say, why would Naomi like something like that? I start to form an opinion or a judgment about you because of what you put out there for me to see. So it's not to say social media is bad. I think it's like the best thing in the world. You can like DM Oprah. So there are opportunities. I mean, she might not respond. However, you have the opportunity to do that. So there are so many great ways that you can be using your digital media platforms to really network online, add value, get into the DM responsibly, and reach out to people that can add value to your life as well. But you have to start by understanding who you are, the value that you're bringing to the table, and then what platform is the right platform to now share this with everyone else and connect with people. You know, your social media becomes almost like your own curated television station. You pick what you see based on who you follow. So why not start following other experts in your industry, locally and internationally, that you can learn from, that can bring more value in your space, that you can collaborate with. I have met so many amazing people just by sending a direct message. So right now there's this other young woman in London. She's a personal branding expert. She has written a book as well. I just met her in person for the first time in Nashville. We didn't even know that we're both going to the same event, but we already formed a relationship online just through Instagram because we're both in the same field and we wanted to learn from each other. What are you doing in London? She has a masterclass. Oh, great. I'm going to try and do a masterclass here in Jamaica. So we learn from each other, and that's just by sending a DM saying, hey, I love what you're doing. I'm in a similar space. Can we connect? It's as easy as that. So look at your social media as an opportunity to give value and to get value from others. But more importantly, to really use it as a platform to communicate who you are to the rest of the world. And then think about how can you contribute in a more meaningful way as a thought leader in your industry. So maybe you're not great at writing. Is that rain? Ooh. So maybe you're not great at writing. So you don't want to write an article online to put on LinkedIn. But there are other people with amazing articles. You can share their article and then write your comments about it. But it allows you to start building content so that people can see that you are actually knowledgeable or have interest in this particular area. So I want you to think about that. Think about how you're using these different platforms to actually show people what you do. How many people in this room actually post about their jobs? Not a lot of hands. So when someone from an industry that you're trying to get into or that you're already in wants to hire you and they decide to look on social media, they're not going to find you. So don't just use it as a place to post the fun stuff. Post the expertise. Post the other things that people need to know about you so that you're being considered for the opportunities when they come. So I had put a quote here that said, and I heard this at a previous event, that success happens when extraordinary skill meets extraordinary opportunity. So you need to work on what that skill is that you are going to be the expert in, so that when the opportunity comes, you are already ready. You have that opportunity because you are ready and you are prepared for it. And you knew how to communicate it and share that with the rest of the world. And then think through, how can you show up more now? As I said, this room is a networking opportunity. Are you going to come here, listen to all the speakers, do the workbook, go home? Or are you going to use this networking session that happens at 5 o'clock to actually make some connections with people who don't know you or who you need to know? You have someone like Dover McDonald White in the room. She does not come to these events. It's an opportunity to connect. So look at the people. And networking is strategic, you know. So when I go to events now, I'm going to tell you what I do. So when I got one, I don't really like to go out anymore. So my friends know, and they laugh at me all the time. They're here in the room on a Friday night at 6 o'clock. If they ask me to take a picture, I'm in my pajamas, under the covers. I love my Friday evenings. I really don't go out unless all of my friends are going or it's something that I have to do. But when I do go to a networking event or any kind of event, I'm prepared. I want to know what the event is. I want to get an idea of who is going to be there and who I need to connect with. The first thing I do when I go to an event is I find the host of the event because they need to know that I came. Thank them for inviting me. First of all, the thank you goes out from you've received the invitation. Thank you for inviting me. I'm attending. I go and I seek the host to let them know that I am here. Thank you so much for having me. So even if I stayed for 5 minutes, they knew that I came, right? And then I try now not to go with a friend to an event. I go by myself and I will try and walk the room. I know who I need to meet, you know, because I already got an idea of who is coming to this event. So as I said, it's almost like a game. Like I'm saying, okay, Nikisha is going to be there, Tony Ann's going to be there. I need to actually have a meeting with them. This is an opportunity for me to connect. And I make sure that I make connections with those people, and I try to leave meeting someone new as well. And you have to go prepared. So you have your business cards, right? If you don't have a business card, it costs nothing to get them made. Download the app Canva, build it out yourself, get them printed at Hot Off the Press or Paratree Express or one of these other amazing printers that you can get it back like while you're waiting for it. But don't go to an event and you're giving someone your phone to put in their number. It's just not, it's tacky. Unless you have one of those cool apps that you can just scan the business card or something like that. So just get your business cards done so you're prepared, as I said, when the opportunity comes. And a big part as well is following up. So what I do is I actually get the card, and on the back of it I'll write what the event was, the date, and what we spoke about. So that when I get home, or the following morning, I'm going to send an email because I'm not waiting on you to respond to me. Because maybe you forgot my business card in your pocket. Maybe it got messed up in the wash. Or maybe you just don't even remember. But I remembered and I need to connect with you. So I'm going to send you an email the next morning saying, hey, Trudy, so great meeting you at Emerge, the Emerge Summit on Saturday. We spoke briefly about blah, blah, blah. Can we connect on Tuesday for a cup of coffee to discuss further? So I'm making sure that I'm intentional about the connection that I just made because there's a reason why I needed to make that connection in the first place. So I encourage you before you leave here, ensure that you connect with someone that you've never met before. Leave this event learning about somebody else and somebody else learning about you. Don't just stay with the person that you came with or with your group of friends. Walk the room even when lunch is going to be a working lunch, but as I said, we have a whole hour dedicated just to networking. Ensure that you take the time to show up, let people know who you are. I'm looking at Queen Simone because Queen Simone shows up everywhere. And if you know her, you can't miss her. That's the first thing. But she always shows up and people know who she is without even really knowing her, right? So just take the time to connect with someone else. And then I'm going to leave you with just a question. I want you to think about what would be your top 5 to thrive. And when I say that, I mean, it can be maybe an event that you need to attend. Maybe it's someone that you need to meet. Maybe it's something that you need to do. But if you did one of these 5 things, or even all of these 5 things, it would take your life to a different level. So think about it. As I said, this is a networking opportunity, guys. Walk the room when you get the chance and meet some people. But do it in a strategic way. And it starts by understanding who you are, the value that you bring, the people that you want to serve. What are you the expert in? We spoke a lot about service because we're all here to serve somebody or a higher purpose. And you have to get closer to finding that out every day. But it starts with getting clarity on who you are and then communicating it. Thank you so much.